I have something interesting that I've noticed. You look at any culture that's a little ancient, at least say more than 1,500 years at least old. Whatever religion be it, whatever scripture be it, most of the places, if not all, have a dire prediction of the future, and they all um, seem to be pointing in the same direction. I've not seen one scripture mention that life on this planet for humans will get better and better gradually, right? Day by day, you will become better and better. That's the dominant philosophy in modern culture
What do you
at
mean?
school.
What do you mean?
Like, for example, uh, every school they are teaching kids because they think those kids will grow up and do something good for the society. Everybody in the society is trying to do something good for the society. Uh, if not everyone, majority, right? That's the kind of people we see. And this has been like this for quite a long time.
Right.
So if everybody, uh, every day, if society is improving, you look at our GDP, you look at our wealth, everything is increasing, the quality of life, um, how much food is being produced, everything that the modern people think is that things will move towards a better state by the day. Every day will be a better day.
Mm.
And that would be the trend that we will be going further. Even with AI, so many new things, excitements, like a fancy new world we will live in where we don't have to do anything, but AI will do most of the things for us. We'll all be wealthy, happy, satisfied. That's the kind of, I say, poison in our minds, broadly, on a social scale. Because it's not letting them think on the other side. It's not letting them criticize anything. It shows only one dimension. Like the same thing can be seen in a positive or a negative way. You should always see it in a positive way. It's a bad way of taking things. You must see things at face value. Not bad, not good, but take it as at face value. And if you look at ancient cultures, almost every one of them suggests that, like the second coming of Christ, things will become worse and worse and worse by the day. Or the Kalki Avatar, which they made a funny movie out of recently. Mm, it's just comedy there.
This technology bubble, when you say people are expecting things to get better by the day, the background of all of it could be the solutions for it, solutions for most of the problems we are seeing today, is based on a particular technology. It could be um, green revolution. It could be doing some nonsense sprays in the sky. Um, but this bubble is going to burst someday because technology is not going to be able to help or support in most of these aspects. But right now, we don't see it. We still think that this technology that we are creating and we might create is going to save us.
See, technology in an absolute sense could be very helpful, like invention of the wheel. It helped people move around, carry things. But mm, the resilience of technology is what's important. Um, the technical advancements are becoming more and more fragile by the day. My actual question initially was, my curiosity was that why is every culture predicting a decline and a reset, while our culture today, majority of the people think things are moving in a positive direction, there's no decline. You can fall in that loop and for no reason be. optimistic or pessimistic. That's not the point. Being real is what is important. That apart, the technology is very fragile. Why I meant to say that is, we had a solar flare in 1850, the Carrington event that people know of. When the Carrington event happened, it's just a solar flare that uh, mm, caused damage, widespread damage to the electronic systems of that day. Something like that is expected now.
Mm.
It could happen anytime. And once that happens, almost all electronic devices are useless. The internet, everything goes out. Even if it takes up significant portion of the planet, not necessarily everything on the planet, just Americas and the Europe, it's more than enough to bring us back to the Stone Age. Or we have developed nuclear weapons. That's where technology kills itself, right? Nuclear weapons is based on technology. But if it's used, even a small minimal exchange, see, I don't understand the foolishness behind developing 6,000, 7,000 nuclear weapons, or even hundreds for that matter. Because if you and the other party exchange 40 or 50 nuclear weapons, by then there'll be no people left to launch the remaining weapons. So why develop 6,000 weapons? It's completely pointless because after the first few dozen are used by both sides, nobody is left to launch them on both sides. And having so many only increases the risk, like only creates chances where you could trigger by mistake, right? I don't know. I have a tendency to think that technology will be um, the thing that people cling to and look for solutions from, but fail to see that technology actually has been the problem. And as systems collapse and as people become lesser and lesser um, confident in the technologies of today, which will be the past tomorrow, they will give up things. And these are not like tested and validated over generations. These are technologies that are like springing up today, becoming a hit tomorrow.
Now let's keep aside collapse. We don't we know for sure that it is going to happen. It is already happening, but each of us in different areas in different parts of this globe don't know when it's going to come right in front of my door. So let me just keep this whole concept of collapse aside for a little bit, and I'm going to ask you, is a reset really necessary? I mean, let's keep all the climate change problems, all that aside, global economy, all that aside for a bit, and tell me, with something that we see, we live, uh, we live by on our day-to-day basis. Based on that, can you tell, is really a reset necessary?
Yes. A reset can be looked at in multiple ways. The population reset, the technical technology reset, reset in agricultural system. But all this can be put together and called the cultural reset. When would a cultural reset be required? When the culture is so damaged that you cannot make minor adjustments to it and gradually take it in the right direction. When it's so out of normalcy that you simply have to click the reset button. Like, say you're playing, I'll give you a very simple example. You're playing a game where it's something like Need for Speed, a car race, you're competing with seven other players, and the game has been progressing. After a while, you see that all the other players are at least 4 laps, 5 laps ahead of you, and the first 4 or 5 people are about to finish, and you are left way behind. There's no point in playing the next 100 feet. Even if you play, anyways, you will lose. Mm, if you feel like, okay, this is way out of my league now, you'll just click the reset button, right? Something similar. Like I've given an analogy. When the culture goes way out of bound, something that you cannot correct, you'll have to click a reset button. And humans, once reset, will actually discover their culture back from nature through their animal instincts. If just a few 100,000 people are left on Earth in over the next 20 years and the rest die out, there will be no technology, nothing to support them, and they will be reduced to being just like any other animal on the planet. And they have so much um, weak bodies that they can easily catch diseases. They can have so much dependency on technology they've had that it will become very hard for them to adjust. And there are so many natural problems, disasters going on, that they will simply not know what to do and start praying to the elements of nature. Well, if you look at the Vedas, the Rig Veda, that's where it starts. You start by praying to the fire, the rain, the wind, the maruts, the Indra, the Vajra. The Vajra is a weapon, that's the lightning strike, which kills the Vritra. Vritra is the desert. The desert is a desert as long as there is no nitrogen content in the soil. Lightning fixes the nitrogen. The Vajra, the Indra's Vajra is a weapon, that's the lightning strike, which will fixate nitrogen in the soil, which is the Vritra, the desert. And that fixated nitrogen is the sole reason why plants start growing there. And that's how the desert steps back and finally vanishes. So the Vritra, the desert, is dead. He was our enemy. The desert is our enemy because we don't get anything to eat out of the desert. Who waged a war against him? The lightning. Who struck the lightning? The Indra. So who is a god? Somebody who killed our demon is our god. Brutally back. And when they say that the Vedas will last forever, it's not because these Pandits are chanting those mantras and those mantras will continue to be chanted. But when humans are pushed back to their animal instinct, they will just start praying to nature, and that is where Vedas started. So as long as we have this in place, you cannot destroy the Vedas because it's nature. It's everything in nature because it's observation put down. So as long as people have eyes, ears, memory, speech, they will observe same things happen again. It's inevitable.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. I mean, that's the truth. It's beautiful. When you say culture, culture means a lot of things. It means the language, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the the kind of, more importantly, what you think, how you think. What is it based on? What are your core values? What is your goal? As a collective society, culture is not something that a one person does. Culture is as of a collective. And the collective is revolving around certain core values or principles or goals, whatever we want to call it. Today, we don't have that in the society. Take one family, people living under the same roof, they have different ideologies, they have different goals, they have different things, and that's the reason why you see conflicts and all that. So, culture means a lot of things. And when you said, when you can't make any minimal change to fix something or to bring back, to revive the culture, that's when you go and hit the reset button. What do you, what are you thinking of when you say that? What are the aspects that you're thinking of?
Yeah. See, to start with, culture is all the non-genetic information that a elder, um, an elder individual of a particular species transfers to an younger individual. So, if it's a dog or a crow or any other, like a sparrow or a worm or a fly or a moth, whatever it teaches its offspring, like even a rat, whatever guidance, whatever ways in which it can teach, other than giving genetically, passing on information through its gene, put together is culture. That's the first thing. Now, when I look at what all things we have lost culturally, oh my God, we are way out of league because we can start discussing about each of these dimensions. And we can see, because that's where we will be pushed to. Like um, humans who continue to survive will become more and more and more animal-like. Like they'll be pushed back to their native instincts only over time as collapse continues. That will accelerate. So mm, you'll see all kinds of things that you never had seen in life, and that is what will destroy every assumption we have. So every assumption we have is because of our culture, privilege, or for example, a simple thing that's already collapsing. I can give you a very simple example, like getting an engineering degree. This is a culturally derived concept. Like our parents saw that getting an engineering degree got their generation into wealth, good jobs. The next generation saw that it was okay, possible, but like the youngsters today are saying that um, at least 80% of the time you don't get a job as soon as you complete an engineering degree, and you struggle for a long time and start doing something. So, because of the actual incidents around them, though they had received some cultural information from their parents that engineering degree will give you good money, good future, they have broken that assumption down, they challenge it, and they don't accept it anymore. So I've given a very simple example. In that manner, every core assumption that we have will be broken down during the collapse. So you can tell me uh, what assumption you are thinking of, and I'll try to give you a narrative where it could be broken down, right? Um,
Sure, I'll start with the concept of money.
oh, money has been broken down multiple times in the past. It's quite easy, mm, like easily predictable, like a very fragile thing. um, hyperinflation, like the German currency mark, came down to being just uh, as useful as tissue paper. And that was in the past. But you should always know that whenever people talk about money, money is a receipt in exchange for energy. When you cannot deliver energy or when you cannot receive energy, the receipt is useless. So if you give like 10 rupees to a shopkeeper and get a small, uh, say, amount of groundnuts tied in a paper, right? You get 10 rupees as a receipt for him to get energy from elsewhere. But what energy did you get? You get by the groundnuts. Producing the groundnuts required energy elsewhere. Be it in the farming process, be it in the transport process, be it in the frying process. All that required energy. So this energy has to be delivered to you. And for that, we use receipts. That is money. You have got that 10 rupees from somebody else because of the energy that you have delivered to them or helped them get from elsewhere. So this is a system where we tap energy. When it becomes harder and harder for us to tap energy, there's a concept called EROEI, energy return on energy invested. We already have come down to like getting uh, 4 barrels of oil for 1 barrel that we invest. Like amount of energy required to extract a barrel of oil, right, is 1/4 of it already. When the oil drilling started, investing 1 barrel worth of energy got them 100 barrels. So this is how we are going to in the direction of decreasing returns on the investment. When it comes to when you have to invest 1 barrel to get back 1 barrel, there's no point in putting the effort. Or even 1.5. If you put 1 barrel and you get 1.5 barrels and you have to pay all the workforce, look after the transportation and all, there's no point in investing that 1 barrel. It's better to use the barrel you have directly for what you need. So we have found different ways to overcome this, but still, if energy cannot be delivered because of any other reason, money is useless.
The way some people foresee it is when money goes, this receipt, there's going to be probably gold or silver, or there might be a barter system. Do you think we will progress in that way, or is it just going to go off suddenly? All of these.
There's a lot of precedents to what you're telling. In the past, when coins collapsed of that particular civilization, people resorted back to going to silver and gold. But today, if something collapses, it's a global civilizational collapse. That's the first difference. The second difference is, back then, nature was intact. The civilization occupied a small portion of the earth. So people could move out elsewhere, somewhere into the forest, go back to hunting and gathering, and start from the beginning. The reset was quite easy. So for a while they move out of the civilization, scramble for food, go to some other civilization elsewhere. All these possibilities were there. Today, with the collapse, none of these possibilities are there. Like, since it's a global civilization, you cannot leave this civilization and go to some other. Like, if the Roman civilization collapsed, you could come travel to India or China. If the empire of China collapsed, you could come to maybe Egypt, right? Today, it's an interconnected civilization. So if it fails, there is nowhere else to go to. Moreover, we have depleted resources in the forests and nature so badly that even if we stop hurting it, it will take a while to recover. And how will you survive during that while? Only if you don't have trust in money, but you are capable of uh, exchanging energy, then you can resort to silver and gold. But if you become incapable of exchanging energy, and that's why money collapses, you can only exchange energy in its raw form. No silver, no gold. Like if you have got some salt, right, and you want rice, if I give you a silver coin, you will be ready to give me salt as long as you can give that silver coin to somebody else and get rice from him. But if your real need is rice, you give me a silver coin, I give you a silver coin in exchange for salt, but I'm not going to share the rice I have with you. You will not
Do that trade.
do that trade. Like silver, there's no point in taking that silver
Right.
because you cannot get rice. What you want is rice.
So that's the barter system, right? I exchange salt.
Yes,
For
that's the barter system, and it had its flaws. That's why we have come here, and it's possible only when energy exchange is feasible, and the concept of money comes in where you have complete trust in the government. That's why you use government receipt. But if you cannot exchange energy at all, then there's no trade.
Right. So that was the concept of money. Then comes the energy, because we're talking about energy and how it's directly dependent on that. We know for sure petroleum, we are depleting all resources in coal, petroleum. And then the question is, this is another frame of thought we have. Is solar energy and nuclear energy to help us?
It's a very wild idea to think that solar will power everything. The concentration of energy in these fossil fuels is extremely high, and these fossil fuels are the substrate with which you build solar panels, batteries, all the equipment required to capture renewables are built with fossil fuels. When you have to replace these renewables, like a panel gets damaged, you need fossil fuel to produce it. That's one way, one thing that you should know about. Another thing is the concentration of energy. The concentration of energy is in itself a very big challenge. Like we have so many technologies and so many activities that require an extreme concentration of energy, which solar, wind does not offer. Nuclear offers that, but we have failed to do a lot of research in that direction, and I think we are almost out of time. Say if you were to produce a nuclear powered automobile whose nuclear plant is the size of the car engine, Probably it could have been done in the past 50 or 60 or 70 years since we started thinking of nuclear energy, but it's still way out of the thought process of people today. And even if you go in that direction, still it's hard because it's not just energy, but with energy, what you do needs resources.